Hi, I am Dana K. White. I am the author of several books, including Decluttering at the Speed of Life and my newest book, which comes out a week from today. Wait, what? A week from today. Yeah, I've got my new light. So, so this is my new book. It is going to be available. Well, it is available wherever books are sold. So just search for Dana K. White. Always put the K in there because there's a guy named Dana White. That's not me. And yeah, go looking for the book. Like I said, it's called Jesus Doesn't Care About Your Messy House. It is the spiritual side of what I call my deslopification process. Talk a lot about removing the shame around this issue and how removing the shame allows you to move forward. And basically, it's about grace. So if you would like to know, if you'd like to get links to where to, can y'all hear me? I'm just making sure because I realized. Okay, you just got notified. Yeah, you hear me. Thank you. All the best. I just realized I'm using my podcasting microphone, but whatever. But yeah, if you go to aslobcomesclean.com/Jesus, that's going to give you places where you can pre-order, but you can pre-order anywhere. It does not matter, but that will also have the link to go fill out the form for your pre-order bonuses. If you would like the pre-order bonuses, you have to fill out the form. They do not come with the book. We don't know who's pre-ordered unless you give us your pre-order information there. Okay. What are the pre-order bonuses? Well, there's a preview of the book, which in a week, you'll be able to read it anyway, but I think it's the first 2 chapters. There is also a 5-day Bible study based around the content of the book. And there is an invitation. You'll get an invitation to a Q&A, okay? Like a private Q&A just for people who've pre-ordered. There's going to be 3 different categories of the Q&As, and each category will have 2 different sessions so that hopefully you'll be able to make it to one. They will not be recorded because I want to respect the privacy of those who are attending. But we're going to talk about the book. So you won't get your invitation until about the 3 categories are all in, like people who are like, yes, this subject matter is right up my alley and I just want to talk more about it, right? Jesus doesn't care about your messy house. If that's like, yes, you're in, or you read the book and you decide I'm all in, that's you. And then we'll have another category, like 2 other sessions that will be for those who are like, I've got questions about this. I'm not sure how I feel about it. We want to welcome those questions. And so we'll do that. And then we'll have one for people who are like, no, no, but for whatever reason, we're friends. And so you decided to order the book. And so we'll have that conversation too, like with anybody there. So I just want to make sure that we kind of do the, like really, really are able to have those conversations that we want to have, right? Okay, here we go. Let's see. Let's go with some questions. I just got off of an interview for my new book, and so I did not have time to go through questions ahead of time. So I would love to hear your questions. Let's see. Is it based on a specific religious affiliation? No, just the Bible, right? Just like the Bible as you know it. So like, no, it's not like a specific, I can't talk, religious affiliation. Let's see. Yay, just ordered Decluttering at the Speed of Life in Northern Ireland, picking up Friday. That makes me so happy. Yeah, if you are in other places in the country, I know I've done a couple interviews in Australia. Generally, a lot of times you can, I cannot guarantee this, but a lot of times maybe the Kindle and the audiobook of a new book will come out, but sometimes it takes a while for that. But I'm so excited that you got Decluttering at the Speed of Life. That's awesome. Is Audible the only audiobook source? No, it is elsewhere too. I did hear from somebody who said it wasn't on Chirp yet. I'm assuming it will be at some point, but no, it's supposed to be everywhere that books are sold. Okay. I'm going in and out, by the way, with my mic. I hope that okay. Sound is breaking up a bit. Well, that's annoying. I don't know that I can change it in the middle. Let me see if I can. Let me check this real quick. Sorry, y'all. Okay, it is saying that it is there. If I change this, let's see what y'all tell me. Okay, can y'all hear me now? All right. Can y'all hear me now, or is it off? Let me find out. Let me go down to some. Is that can y'all hear me? It's worse. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I'm just going to go back to what it was, and no, this one. I hope I don't have to start again. Let's do. There we go. All right. Can you hear me now? Okay. Let's see. Can y'all hear me now? You can hear me. Okay. Some people are saying that sound is good. Okay. I'm just going to go with it. I don't know. I'll keep an eye on those. But let's see. Anybody who has questions, make sure that you ask them. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Somebody's saying, quick FYI, not able to receive the book in the UK until April. Really hoping Audible will be available earlier. I hope so too. I can't guarantee, but usually that's the case. So let's see. Okay, now you're saying it's good. Okay. All right. Y'all are so kind to help me out with this. I also have a new light, and it's making it harder for me to see the comments. So I don't know how I feel about the light. Makes me feel like my face is very shiny. Let's see. Started my own decluttering group with my sister-in-law. We love talking about your techniques, and it helps to keep us motivated. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's see. Questions? Anybody have a question that you would like? Okay. Yay, we've got a question. Just replaced a small kitchen tool we use almost daily. The new one is slightly too tall to fit in the home for it unless I rearrange the drawer every single time I wash the tool. Help. Yeah. That is frustrating. I know. I've had stuff like that happen before. I think it comes down to this. Are you willing to rearrange the drawer every time? And even more than that, will you rearrange the drawer every time? I have a video where I talk about how there is a tool that it's one of my small strainer things, which is so funny because I talked about how I think I casually mentioned that I use it when I make real mashed potatoes, and people are like, why do you use that one? And I'm like, it's because I like to lower them into the pot while the water's boiling instead of dropping them in there, because then it splashes and it scares me. So that's why. Anyway, I know it's a weird thing, but anyway, I put that in this awkward place where it is a huge pain to get it out, but because I only use it every once in a while, and because it's generally at a time where I am like focused on a really big meal, like for a real event, it's not on my everyday life. It doesn't bother me to go through that extra hassle to get that out. But for the things that I use all the time, I'm not willing to go through that hassle, right? And so that's the clutter threshold thing, right? Like, how does this actually work in my life? Is it causing problems? Is it causing things to get out of control? So it might be something where this was a replacement, but the replacement is the wrong size, and you might need to replace the replacement because now oh, okay, if it's a can opener, I can't have a can opener that has these certain dimensions or whatever, because that doesn't fit within my clutter threshold. Let's see. Going to remodel the kitchen. Any suggestions on planning so I can go, where would I look first? Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Actually, I think you're in the right frame of mind here. As you're planning it, stand in it as it is and be like, okay, in this kitchen, where would I look first for this? The thing I will say that's very helpful for me, and I did not plan my kitchen, right? Like, I'm much more a person. I go into a situation, I go, okay, I got to work with what's here, because I don't want to do the planning. Like, that's actually my worst nightmare, to replan how a kitchen works. But if you love it, I think that the way to go about it is to, for me, it's my goal is to be able to empty 90% of my dishwasher without moving my feet. It's a weird little game I play with myself, right? Like and I have a video on arranging, how to arrange your kitchen or how I arrange my kitchen. That is really important to me, right? Like other things that are certain, larger items that maybe don't get used all the time or whatever, those, yes, I will walk across the kitchen because that's just the reality of it. But as far as like cups and plates and mugs and the things that we use consistently all the time that generally fill up the dishwasher, those things, even pots and pans, are right over here. So I would stand in that spot where if you're going to have a dishwasher or if you're going to have your draining thing, if you're not, I assume that if you're going to remodel your kitchen, you're going to have a dishwasher, but some people don't like them, right? So but stand in that spot and envision, where would I look for this first, and see how that affects the actual planning of it. How do you not go into a place not judging? It's hard to see how others live. I don't know what you mean. I do feel like if you're concerned about other people judging your space, like you can't control what other people do, what other people say, right? What other people think. But you do have to go, I am really zeroing in on the actual function as opposed to how things are supposed to work. My decluttering question, where would I look for this first, was a big, it's a game changer, right? Like it's used for all the different, now I see how powerful that question is in all these different aspects of decluttering. However, one of the first things as I did that, it was a realization of, this is how my family functions. And if I focus in on function, like us being able to find things in the first place where we look for it, and I say that is the most important thing, as opposed to where other people think this item should go in a home, accepting how we actually function, how we actually work, and then going with that actually changed my home, right? So zeroing in on function and experiencing the power of it functioning well is going to give you the confidence when someone else, when you feel like someone else is coming in to judge. It was always one thing when I felt like I was being judged, and I also was like, this is completely dysfunctional, and so you don't understand me and you're judging me and you shouldn't judge me, but all this at the same time, it is out of control. And it is, but like all those things together were really hard. But when I got my house under control, okay, not perfect, the goal was under control, the goal was functional, then it gave me more confidence in all of that. Let's see. Yes, you came. Jody says, I came in late, I missed the first part, will it be saved? Yes, it automatically is on YouTube. I'm sure there's a way for me to go back and delete, but I don't. Like, these things stay up there. Let's see. Love it. Let's see. Any tips on deep cleaning when trying to catch up after not doing weekly stuff often enough? For example, my shower doors and walls don't seem to respond to the normal cleaning, chemicals, scrubbing. Yeah. So this is the reality, right? Like the longer it goes, the harsher products are required. I don't know why my face is not focused right now. Yeah, the longer you go, the harsher products. So like if you want to use less harsh products, it requires cleaning more often and the consistency, right? So like, and I know a lot of times people, in my own experience and with working with a lot of people, put off cleaning because they're worried about the harsh chemicals and want to find the very best thing to do it with. In the meantime, because they're not cleaning, then it gets out of control and then the harsh chemicals are required. But it's a couple of tips on the deep cleaning, like on shower doors. Get an old credit card or gift card or some kind of thing like that and go at it like, using that to scrape that off, right? That's what I had to do in our old house. Now in our new house, we've been here 3.5 years almost, and we always, and I do mean always, squeegee those glass doors. Because why? Because of the hard thing I learned in my last house when we didn't do that, when we had a glass door, and that it just got horrible, so like scraping it with the side of a used gift card, an old gift card, empty one, obviously. I actually prefer the gift cards over a credit card because I had tried an old credit card one time and it had like a plastic layer on top that would kind of eventually come off. But when it was like one solid piece, I liked that better. Other things is I would get, a really, really scrubby brush, as scrubby as you can get, that won't damage the type of surface that's in your space that you're dealing with, and go at it with dish soap and elbow grease. Elbow grease is actually you using your muscles, right? Like that's what that is. Have you heard that story of somebody going to the store and asking where to find the elbow grease that their grandma told them they needed? Anyway, let's see. Dana, first time catching you live. Yay. So excited. How do you declutter special family items such as schoolwork when I was very young, or figurines your mom had? I struggle so much with this. Yeah. The way that I go about this is actually the way I always go about all of my stuff. Okay. And I know that sounds like, wait a minute, this is different, but it actually is more important to follow the decluttering process for these things than anything, right? So let's say these figurines that my mom had, right? Like going into it with the mindset of, here's some mindset shifts, right? Is a mindset shift is that my mom, didn't want these things to be a burden, right? Or that, which is, when, I don't know, some people's moms do want things to be burdens, but you know what I mean? There could be that mindset shift. There could be a very helpful mindset shift for me is, can I keep one? And it brings all the happy feelings. But if I keep all of them, then it's me stubbing my toe and not knowing what to do with all this. And it becomes a frustrating feeling. But with all those mindset shifts in mind, go through the process. Hold up the figurine and say, if I was looking for a sad clown, because I'm just picturing a figurine that I'm pretty sure was in some of my family members at some point. If I was looking for a sad clown figurine, where would I look for it first? Okay. And let that be the thing. Like, instead of just saying, if I was looking for my mom's stuff, that's too vague. Go really, really deep. Like, if I was looking for a sad clown figurine that was really, really important to my mother, where would I look for it first? And then if you have an answer to that, go to that space and go. Sometimes the act of taking it there now is the thing that makes you realize, I don't want to take it there now. It's not that important to me. But if it is important to you, take it there now. Face the reality of that space. Okay, so I would look for it on this shelf that has other sentimental items. So I get to that shelf and I realize that shelf is actually full. What in here is less sentimental to me than this sad clown figurine that was important to my mother? Okay, actually, when I look at it that way, I go, this thing right here, I don't actually remember where that even came from. So this, yes, now I've given it some space. Or I go, oh, I've kind of curated this to look exactly the way I want it to look. I'm not willing to get rid of something up there to keep a sad clown figurine that was important to my mother, right? Like, so it means that I am not rejecting this item. I'm not rejecting my mother. I am facing the reality of the space, right? Like going through that process is the thing that frees you from the, oh, but it was important to my mom, but I can't get rid of it. Blah, blah. We don't just ask, should I have it? Should I not? Right? We go through the process and then that reveals to you, it has a space in my home. Okay, great. Right. But also if it's a box full of 70 sad clown figurines that were important to my mom, that's where it's like, okay, well, I can keep one and have all those great feelings, but I'm not going to keep all 70. Right. And so I'm still honoring that, but not. And sometimes I don't even keep that because I face the reality of the space. Right. Let's see. Same thing with your schoolwork, like where would I look first for a paper from when I was in first grade and learning how to write cursive, right? Or whatever. Like, where would I look first for that? Okay, I take it there now. So many times it's like, I would never look for that, right? Same thing though. I might be like, you know what? I could have this one paper of like, I can think of a story that I wrote when I was little about when my friend and I found a bird's nest on the ground, right? Like, and that brings back all of the elementary school work, blah, blah, blah memories. I don't need to have a copy of every single thing I've ever written when I was in elementary. Okay. Let's see. I love this. Allie says she just put a bunch of nails on her walls after my podcast. Some of y'all are going to be scared to listen to it. There my podcast that came out last week. I put them out on Saturdays. I put them out on Thursdays on all the podcast platforms, and then they come out Saturday mornings here on YouTube. And it's audio only, but I think it's forests, trees, and nail holes. You know how sometimes we get. Yeah, you can go listen to it, and you'll know what she's talking about. Let's see. I know this is redundant, but I'm so excited about how much better our house is after looking for trash first. 5-minute pickup and laundry day, life-changing. Thank you so much. Not redundant. I am so excited to hear that. And people need to hear it because sometimes I think when people are only hearing me and not seeing that other people are like doing the thing and experiencing the success, that's one of the reasons I love my Patreon group so much. I know I'm going to push it a little bit here. Where's my Patreon people? I have a Patreon group, and once a month, which we have a private Facebook group and all that, but once a month we like do a call, where we share our wins, and people are like, people will just share, this is the thing that I had been resisting doing. I had done these other things and those had shown had some success with that. And then I was still resisting doing this. I finally did it. Here's what happened. Like, there's so much encouragement from that. So, yeah, I just love hearing that. Let's see. Do I come in this same time on Tuesdays, and what other days and times? If you do, again, blessing you. I try to do Tuesdays at noon Central, which is right now. It is not always possible because life happens, right? Like next week, I've got somebody coming to measure windows for me, and the time block is noon to 5. And so there's a chance that they will text and say they're on their way, and I will not be able to do this. But if that happens next Tuesday, I'll be coming on later, because guess what next Tuesday is? It's the day my new book comes out, right? So I will be here for sure. I just don't know. I can't guarantee the time. I'm actually planning, I'll let y'all know. I am planning to do a live next Monday night, because I want to make sure y'all know about the, final chance to pre-order for the book coming out. So I will possibly do one next Monday night. But I'm going to put that on the newsletter. So if you're not a member of my newsletter, you can go to aslobcomesclean.com/5, F-I-V-E, sign up for the newsletter and get a printable download of my 5-step process. Okay. I need to buy a bookshelf for our living room to space kids' things that get left out. But now that I've decluttered so much, I'm hesitant on making purchases, even though I know this would help. Okay. Pick things according to the space and not the stuff that you think you need to put up, right? So you said you've decluttered a lot, and that's great. The first thing I would do before you do anything is go through the stuff that is being left out, that you feel like it needs a home, and say, okay, if my real goal is that these things be put away somewhere other than the living room. So I say, okay, if the living room was not kid storage, where would I look for this first? Go to that space, and you might need to one in, one out something that isn't getting used, that isn't as important for this item, to give it a home there. That would be the first thing that I would do. If you come down to, yes, this is a place where we need something for whatever, choose the piece of furniture according to the space that it's in, right? Meaning, like this bookshelf, instead of me going, what stuff do I want to put on a bookshelf? And therefore I choose a bookshelf that I think will fit all that stuff. Instead, I go, what bookshelf fits on this wall? Because the room is the container and the bookshelf has to fit within the room, within the container that is the room, right? The other things that have to fit in that space is you and your functioning and you're being able to move around, right? Because if you've been decluttering, that more bookshelves is probably not, it is not the answer, right, to clutter problems. But that doesn't mean that sometimes you don't need something like that. Like, I'm not going to say you don't need it, but I'm saying declutter first and choose the thing according to the space and not the stuff. Let's see. What about keeping items out of guilt from family members, especially if you don't like the items or they don't bring positive memories? Um, yeah, like those were things I had to one of the things I had to realize, and I had a post on this, was my mom had given me some kind of a really cool like silverware box, you know, different areas of the world call it different things, cutlery, whatever. Um, and it had, like, she had found it at a antique store years ago, and it had some sort of a sticker on it where basically it was like crime scene evidence or something. I don't know, which was really cool. And so she'd always told this story. And so when she was getting rid of it, I was like, oh, I want that, because that was just something cool. But I realized as it was sitting in my garage in a pile, I was like, wait a minute. I don't have any memories attached to this. Like, for her, she has the memory of finding it in the antique store, figuring out what this tag meant, blah, blah, blah. I don't actually have that memory, right? And so I am not going to be responsible for other people's memories. It's hard. My mom's very understanding of all that, and I know not all family members are for everybody. But having that mindset and then using that mindset as you go through the process, meaning, okay, I am not attached to this, but it's going to bring some drama if I just randomly get rid of it, right? So instead, go through the process. If I needed this item, where would I look for it first? Go to that spot and face the reality of it. If this item is not important to you, then you're like, I'm not willing to get rid of anything. This space is already full, or this space is already functional and I like it the way it is. I'm not willing to give space to this item because this item is not something I care about. It's only here for guilt. And then that way, it's not just arbitrary. That's the thing. Is so many times when we feel like we have to make decluttering decisions arbitrary because this is a good thing or this is a bad thing or this is not important. Okay, that's where we can get into all this. Oh, but what about people say and blah blah blah. Instead, you go, you know what? The space is the size that it is. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I didn't have the room for it. And they may go, but there's a spot right here, and you're like, but that's not where I would look for it. And so in the place where I would look for it, I just didn't have room for it. So I had to make some choices and I didn't choose this. Like, it just gives you some actual concrete rationale and reason behind why you can't keep it. Let's see. I moved into a new house and I have a room supposed to become my office. Has the leftover stuff, no home for. It's a hot mess. I can't even do garbage first method. I shut the door, walk away suggestions. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. This is the reality. That space that is supposed to be an office ends up being the dumping ground. This is the craft rooms and offices are the places that end up getting overwhelming like this, right? I feel like if I could scoot this down just a little tiny bit, maybe it wouldn't have my face under. Okay. Yeah. So remember, you don't have to get all the trash out in the first step. You just have to get whatever trash you can. Whatever trash you can access without pulling everything out, right? And whatever step, because here's the thing, this is the place for stuff that has no home, but I don't want this to be its home because it's the office. So that means the vast majority of the stuff needs to be trash and donate, right? These are the things that didn't have a home. especially if you were using the where would I look for this first and you were like, I don't have it, I'm gonna stick it in there. Well, that means you wouldn't look for it and it needs to go, right? So item by item, if if the trash is overwhelming to you, okay, what in here is easy? What do I already know actually should go somewhere else in the house? I'm going to go take it there now, right? Just to start getting yourself moving and all that. But just one item at a time, what you can access and do with the mentality that the vast majority of the stuff needs to go. Let's see. How to help family members stop procrastinating. Hubby very ADHD and gets distracted walking across the room with an item in his hand. Yes. So instead of, here's the thing, which let's just talk about my book. Okay. Because that's what a lot of what I go into in here is I thought that the answer to my issues in my home was to be a completely different person than who I am. Right. Like it drove me crazy that I would get distracted walking across the room with an item in my hand. It would drive me crazy that I didn't realize that I had randomly set all this stuff down in all these random places. And now it was a big disaster. Like that would make me bananas. And yet wishing I wasn't that way didn't actually do any good. So what I would recommend is focused 5-minute pickups. Okay. Focused 5-minute pickups on procrastinator. So if things are leaving his hand, or if doesn't realize how this mess happened, whatever, focused 5 minutes, real 5 minutes, not until we get this done. We're not going to do that. Okay. Instead, it's like, hey, let's work together. Maybe your 5 minutes is helping him stay focused for 5 minutes. Okay. But there's something really powerful about the 5-minute thing of really, truly, making an impact. Let's see. I love this. Doing the dishes every day has been such a big shift in creating my motivation. If you don't know what to do the dishes. Yes. Fantastic. Okay. I've just found you. I've been binge watching and decluttering. Thank you. I was an expert stuff shifter and I could create more containers for excess. I needed everything you helped me with. Thank you. I love it. Oh, I love it. I love Ecuador. I've been to Ecuador 4 times, I think. It's one of my favorite places in the whole world. Enjoying your videos in Ecuador. Just wanted to say thank you so much for the container concept. This has helped me so much. I love it. Let's see. Let's see. Is Patreon an app? There is a Patreon app, but they have a website as well. Like, right. Like you're going to, yeah, no, I mean, like it's not, you don't have to do anything within the app. So let's see. I think all the papers in my house had babies every time I turn around. Any way to control paper? Yes. I have a video where I talk about the 3 category system that I use, which is based on the advice from Cass from Clutterbug and Dawn from the Minimal Mom. So they are the paper experts, not me, right? But I took what I learned from them and I did a 3 category system, and I have a video on that. So if you'll look, if you'll just on YouTube, Dana K. White paper, you should be able to find that. Let's see. If I send my copy of your new book to you, could I get it signed? I will say no, just because I cannot go to the post office. Like it's physically impossible to me. But what I will say is if you go to aslobcomesclean.com/Jesus, which there we go. If you go there, there is a link to Interabang Books in Dallas. We're doing a book event, it's 2 weeks after the book comes out, but whatever. But anyway, we're doing an event there and I'm going to be signing books. And so they are actually offering signed book copies. So if you order through them, on the order page, scroll down and there's a box to put comments or notes or whatever. Say, I would like this signed by Dana to so-and-so, and then they will ship it out. So there is a way to get signed books. But it's just through them. Let's see. Did you really catch me live? Yes, you did. Hi, Dana. I've been getting stuff out with your help and have run into a bit of a give a mouse a cookie snowball, clearing one space and having to declutter other spaces in order to make space for items I have to keep. The whole house looks better. And I just wanted to say thanks. Love it. Just remember item by item doing that instead of I've got to clear this stuff out so I can do it. Okay. Instead, go with where would I look for this first? Okay. I'm going to what one item so I can go ahead and put this here. Right. And then I'm going to take something out, trash or donation, obvious donation to get, because that gets me back to my original space. And then that will help you feel like I don't have to do this and then that, but it kind of blends it all together and moves my house forward a little bit. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, okay. Okay. I don't know if I'm not sure if you're the same person. I don't remember the names, but makes sense. An excuse was, well, you have more room than we do. It doesn't mean I want 20 plus dolls or a closet full of blankets a relative made. Okay. So I think this is talking about, like what do you do about the guilt when people are like giving you stuff and want you to keep it? And the excuse was you have more room than we do. Here's what the other thing is. So we declutter to the container, right? We go, this is the space that I have. I'm sorry I didn't have the space for this. The second thing, after we've decluttered to the container, we acknowledge our clutter threshold. Your clutter threshold is not your preference. Your clutter threshold is how much you can handle, right? And part of that can be I can't handle other people's stuff that has no sentimental attachment for me, right? Like, so it's then in this answering, you answer it according to I just can't handle all that stuff. Right? People don't necessarily take that very well. I'm not acting like they're gonna go, oh, clutter threshold, sure. No, they're gonna be like, well, but you should build, and you're like, I just can't handle all that stuff. Like, go ahead and tell them, like, I can't handle all these things. It makes it harder for me to function in my house. I just can't. I'm sorry. Okay. What are your thoughts on renting a trash dumpster to do major decluttering? I'm decluttering room by room, but honestly, I've gotten to where I'm procrastinating advice. I think it's fantastic. I did a video a year ago, maybe, I don't know, where our we were having some remodeling done and they had rented a dumpster and I was like, hey, can I put some stuff in there? And they were like, absolutely. So they kept it an extra day so that we could, fill it up with stuff we wanted. And like, it's the best feeling in the world, right? Like I'm actually planning to do, I'm going to test it out for y'all. Like cause I know that the 1-800-GOT-JUNK thing, like, yes, they're expensive and all, but it's supposed to be a lot of the value is supposed to be that they'll actually like, you can say, get this thing out of my attic and they'll actually go up in your attic and get the thing out. Not that I know where my attic is, but you know what I mean? And they'll actually do that thing. So we have some big items that were left here by the people we bought our house from that I'm just like, I am ready to get these things out. So I'm wanting to experiment with that anyway. So I'll have a video on that probably next year. Because I'll do it now and then Reed will edit it over the summer. But yeah, like that is a dumpster is fantastic. I mean, like, there is no better motivation than I can just put this in there and like especially for things like I think some of the stuff we put in that one was like a broken ceiling fan that was never going to fit in our regular trash or whatever, or a broken recliner or something. I mean, like, yes, it's fantastic. At what point do I get rid of containers, totes, storage, furniture, decorative storage boxes? If you're asking, I'm going to say right now. Yeah, like here's the thing. If you have a container that's an extra container, okay, you're going to do, I mean, like, I don't invent new fancy ways to do things, like, right? I just go, okay, how can I apply what I already know works to this specific situation? And that is, if I needed an empty container, where would I look first for an empty container? Wherever you would look first, go to that space. And that space is the limit to how many empty containers you can keep, right? Like, you're experiencing as you declutter that you didn't need as many containers as you used to think that you needed, right? But containers feel like, well, they're supposed to be so useful, and they are. And you may find a reason for that. But as you take it to the place where you would look first when you need an empty container, If that is a cabinet, then that cabinet determines how many empty containers you can keep. And when you acknowledge the reality of that space, then it helps you go, okay, these are the good containers and these are the ones that I actually didn't ever like. Or you know what? These are the ones that get used the most often. So those are the ones being that are worth keeping. But you go through that same process for that. Uh, let's see. Oh, I love it. Catherine says she just put this time on her calendar to alert her every week. Don't know why I didn't think to do that sooner. Yeah. So hopefully I'll be here next week at 12. So I always make sure I say it's not a guarantee that I'm going to be here at 12, but I try. It's on my calendar every day, as that's also one of the reasons why when I do have interviews, which right now I have interviews every single day, all day long. It's a lot. But in general, I'm always like Tuesday, because I know I'm going to already be wearing makeup that day. Let's see. What would you do with some 31 totes that's a brand, that you use a couple of times a year, but don't have any place to really store them in the meantime? I would ask yourself, where would I look first for totes? And take them there now. And going and putting them in that spot is probably going to help you see the other things that you would go looking for when you need to do that. And you can probably, by putting them in the same place, consolidate and go, you know what? I could get away with this one or these two, and those could serve all of the purposes, as opposed to this is a good tote, I should have it, right? So you go according to where would you look for it first and what's the reality of that space. I am going to talk real quick again, because we can't miss it, right? It comes out a week from today. My new book, it is the spiritual side of things. The link that will give you the places to find it, which it's available, should be available everywhere for pre-order, is theslobcomesclean.com/Jesus. Obviously, with that title, this book is a spiritual book, right? My other 3 books do not contain spiritual content for a reason, and this book talks about what that reason is. So, yeah, dive in deep into that. I would love, there are pre-order bonuses. So if you order before next Tuesday, you will be able to claim those pre-order bonuses, which is a 5-day Bible study, a preview of the book, and invitation to a private Q&A for those who have pre-ordered. So, all right, let me go back to some questions. Let's see. Hi, Dana. Currently living in Europe due to a move back to the UK later this year. No new house there yet, but it will probably be way smaller than here. Overthinking already. Any tips, please? Yeah. When you don't know, but you know it's going to be less, just go hard on decluttering the house that you're in. Like really embracing the reality of the house that you're in, knowing that I need even less stuff than would fit here. Right. So go ahead and start with, trash and obvious donations. Go hard on that, because you're like, why would I want to even worry about this stuff if it's actually something that I don't even need to have here? Right. And then really embrace the actual spaces that you have. Because if you're struggling with clutter anyway, then you need to declutter down to the realities of that space. And that's going to be the best. It's so much easier to declutter when you have real boundaries that you're looking at in front of you. So start with that. And then if you get to that point and you still have more time, then start thinking, what is it that we imagine the space is going to look like? Are we only going to have, space for one chest of drawers? Okay, then what are the things that wouldn't deserve space in that one chest of drawers? Let's see. Love it. Melanie says, I used one of those junk companies and it was great we got rid of a large broken treadmill and a sofa bed that weighed a ton. The junk haulers were great. We just were targeted with what we asked them to take away. Love it. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Another. I used a company similar to 1-800-GOT-JUNK to remove 3 giant couches that we couldn't lift. It was a great experience. It was expensive and about $400, but worth it to get them out of the house. Yes. I mean, I think as you declutter other things, right? If you're like, go ahead and declutter the things that you can. The natural thing that happens is you start to place value on space and your home being easier to live in. As you do that, it's you start to have this shift in your mind. This is what's happened to me where I'm like, $400 to get 3 giant couches out? Oh my goodness, take my money, right? Like, and I know if you're not there yet, I totally understand. So go ahead and do the things that you can do and don't be like, but I don't want to spend $400 on the couches. And so now I'm stuck. Get rid of trash. Deal with the other stuff that are not the couches first. And then it might get you to that point, or it might help you see, okay, now I have enough space because I've gotten rid of other stuff. So sorry if you answered this already. What do you do with incoming mail? How do you keep it from getting crazy? I hate mail and feel anxious about bills or important things that have come in. So I have a 3-category system. It is to do, wait and see, and like things from this year, like 2025. How are we in 2025? But whatever. It sounds like the future, doesn't it? And that is actually really very powerful. If the new things that come in, you go, they have to go in one of those categories. It's either something I have to actually do, it's something that I'm waiting to see if I have to do something with this, or it is something that is like, records that we have to keep for this year. And simply knowing that there are those 3 categories, what happened with me is that things that used to look important to me, and so I was like, I'm just going to set it down and deal with that later. That looks important. Because it had to go in one of those 3, I actually opened it up. And I would say more than half the time, something that looked important was not important at all. But because I opened it up, because I knew that there was a place that it had to go, that was the thing that revealed that to me. But there's a video about that. Let's see. Oh, found the new audiobook on Google Play. Happy Dance. Yeah, I don't care where you pre-order or what format. All the formats are there. Yeah, just go to aslobcomesclean.com/Jesus, and that will give you the link to pre-order. Give you the link to fill out the information. We don't know if you pre-ordered. The only way to get the bonuses is to fill out our form. Any tips on how to declutter my ex room at my parents' house? I'm 34 now. I have a lot of books and pretty objects that I love, but wasn't planning on taking home with me, but my mom needs more room. Yeah, I think the same way that I recommend people clean out their loved one's home, right? When I helped my in-laws downsize. So the first thing I would do is take pictures of your existing home, right? Like take pictures before you go over there so that you can ask yourself in this stuff, if I needed this item, where would I look for it first? And then you have pictures to actually give you that. Like, am I going to be willing to put it on that shelf? Is there room on that shelf? Is there something I'm willing to get rid of in order for that? And that's going to really cut down on what you bring, and then go hard on the trash and donations, right? Because we need to respect the fact that you're 34 and you have your own space. And so your mom wants this space for something else and it needs to be cleaned out. So go through the process according to, where would I look for this first in my actual home? And because you have the pictures, you're being as realistic as you can be about, okay, so if I take home this picture in a frame, where would I look for it first? And, oh, actually, I've already got a picture in that spot. Do I love this one enough in order to get rid of that other one and rip one in, one out? That actually, no, I kind of put a lot of time and effort into that. So this is going to go, right? Like, so it's that facing the reality of the space as best you can. Let's see. What if the answer to where would I look for it first is 2 different places depending on where I am? If I'm upstairs, I would look for a safety pin in my nightstand. If downstairs in my sewing kit. I think if you're upstairs, you put it in the upstairs place. And if you're downstairs, you put it in the downstairs place. It's not that you can't have 2 different places where you would look for something. And I think this is a great example of, okay, I'm upstairs, so I would look in this spot. I'm downstairs, I would look in that spot. Yeah, that's great. I have 3 junk drawers, 1 understairs junk closet, 2 junk linen closets that I need to declutter. Where should I start? First, help. I would start in the one you open up the most. Like, go to the one, I'm assuming, I have no idea, but like, let's say that, okay, this is my junk drawer and it's in my kitchen, and it's the one that I'm always, reaching in to get something. That's where I would start. The place where it's the most use, and really zero in on that function, because the experience of that space functioning better is going to inspire you to keep going. Let's see. I love this. Cheerful Mouse says, I was watching a past live and then I realized it's noon on Tuesday. Can we please have more 1 hour better videos? We have more coming out. They are very time consuming to make and very time consuming to edit. And right now, y'all, I have a book coming out and I also have another book due that I'm writing. So we have them. They are scheduled to be coming out over the next couple of months. So I generally do 6 a year, I think. And I would love at some point to increase that, but right now that's basically all that we can handle. That's my threshold. Let's see. Do you still have the checklists you have your kids for cleaning areas of the house? I keep thinking of them for my husband. Are they okay for adults too? They're great for adults. Like, it's funny to me that when I made a checklist for my kids cleaning the bathrooms. This was years and years ago when they were little. And people were like, oh, I need these for myself. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. But yeah, no, they're great. Let's see. Let's see. There's an older lady I want to help declutter. Right on her living room sofa is covered in purses. After trash, I ask, where would you look for this first? Hold up the purse first. Yeah. I mean, like, exactly. And the reality is that, where would you look for this first? And then go to that spot. Go to that spot with her for the take it there now and face the reality of that space, which is going to make everything else look different. And the reality is, if purses are really important to her, they need to have a place to be, right? They deserve space. And maybe we, one in, one out for other types of things that are less important to her. Let's see. Do I ask what you want the sofa to be? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Yeah, like we talk about the function of the sofa, right? Like, the function of the sofa is for sitting. Let's see. In bare necessities mode with a 3-year-old, a 15-month-old, and a new arrival in July. Congratulations. Enjoying this season, but clutter needs to go. How to declutter in survival mode. Busy, but has to happen. Yeah, I think that's where you really, really zero in on the no mess process, right? Like, my 5-step no mess decluttering process is the key. And knowing that if I stick it in the trash or the donate box, I don't even have to think about it ever again, right? Like, really go into it with that. Like, I've got to have so much less stuff. I'm going to go hard on that. But yeah. Is there a live countdown? No, sorry. Let's see. Sorry, where can I find the checklist for cleaning? I remember seeing them a long time ago, but it's been so long. On my website, I think. Yeah. Also, one of the best ways to find my stuff is like Dana K. White bathroom cleaning checklist, like Googling that. Because I've been around long enough that if you put Dana K. White and whatever you're looking for into Google, it'll generally take you there. Will what? Will there be an audiobook for the new book? Absolutely. And it's me reading it. I actually put out a reel on Instagram over the weekend that has a little blurb of me reading it. So yeah, absolutely. Audiobook. Okay. Let's see. We're about to be done. Yeah. slobcomesclean.com/Jesus will give you links of places to buy it, but you can get it wherever. You can also request it from your library. Not like, request that they get it, right? Send in a request. And send us an email with a screenshot of you requesting that your library get it. And then we'll give you a special code to put, since you won't have a pre-order number. But yeah, get your pre-order bonuses, get invited to those Q&As after. Those are going to be smaller groups. Those will be on Zoom. So we'll actually be able to, you don't have to be on camera, but we'll be able to see each other. Let's see. Couple more questions. How do you get rid of stuff that was a good bit of money? If you feel the need to sell it, you need to go through the process of selling the most important, the most thing that you are like, no, 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 this is really worth something. Go through that whole process with that one item so that you can find out, oh, actually, that is not worth my time. That took a lot longer than I expected. I don't want to spend my time doing that. Or what for me, the thing I ask myself is I'm like, okay, this item that I paid $300 for, okay? Like, let's say it's a chair. And I thought this chair was going to be the greatest thing ever. And this chair was $400. And instead, I constantly trip over it because there's too much stuff in my space. And I constantly pile things on it because it's there. And so I just do. Like, it's a frustration all the time. And I go, okay, that's $400. Would I pay $400 to add square footage to my home where I didn't trip and I didn't have stuff piled all the time? Yeah. Like, anytime I'm working on a space and I start to get stuck on, this item, because it's rarely $400. It's often something that was $20, $30, right? And I go, ugh. And I'm like, okay, would I pay someone this amount of money in order for this space to be under control? And I'm generally like, yeah, take my money, right? Okay. Let's see. But the other thing I will say on that is, if you are stuck on something, skip it, move to something else. Don't let it stop you from decluttering because you're so stressed out about the money things. Go ahead and do the things that you are willing to get rid of, because that will start to help you see the value of how much easier it is to live in a house with less stuff, and how much easier it is to just function and all that. And you'll experience the power of decluttering, which will make this item look different to you in the future. So do the stuff that you're willing to get rid of. Okay. Love it. Hi from Sweden. I have just found you and your 5 steps of decluttering, life-changing to say the least. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I am pretty sure that there is usually a CD option on Amazon. I think they maybe print those like on demand, or, like they print them as people order them, because it's pretty rare that people order them. But I generally, on my royalty reports, will see that I've sold 3 CDs or something every 3 months. I don't know. But so I think it usually is an option. I can't guarantee that. I'm not the one in control of it, but yes. Is the book translated to Danish? At this point, this book does not have any translations. My other books have been translated. Those are the translated copies back there. And there's a couple more that I haven't gotten copies of. But yeah, they have been. So usually after the book comes out, then that is when the translations start to come in. But they'll then take a little while for it to actually be coming out. So yes, new book comes out on a week from today. So I will probably be going live next Monday night, and I will also be going live normal time on Tuesday. But if you would, I know sometimes people watch these because they are not available to be here live during the day, but I will be letting you know in my newsletter if and when I go live on Monday night. So, all right. I will talk to y'all later.